Howdy, people of the interwebs. It's me, Brandon Noel. I've done this once before. Uh, we're going to play around a little bit with Wacom Tablet and Manga Studio. Um, the character I'm drawing today is Uncle Sam. It's Veterans Day. If you're unfamiliar with Uncle Sam, well, you probably are aware of Uncle Sam just from the propaganda posters and all that kind of stuff. But in the try not to erase too much. In the I don't know, Golden Age of Comics, World War II, that era, DC Comics created a character that was Uncle Sam. Is the spirit of America. He had has the ability to grow. His strength is proportionate to the amount of patriotism around him. So if you got like a sad sack, there's a reference for you, sad sack. You know, Uncle Sam's not feeling all that well. Alex Ross did an amazing Uncle Sam book that deals with this character in the most realistic way possible. Talks about all the American tragedies, basically the sins of America through the eyes of this character. It's a masterpiece. It really is. But the reason also why I wanted to kind of draw Uncle Sam today is, you know, post the election, some people who are Trump fans are probably going to find what I'm about to say repugnant, but I have been physically ill. I've felt sick in my stomach. I've not really wanted to do, well, anything. I've just felt very disappointed in my country. And it's not that I lost. It's not that my, you know, Hillary Clinton wasn't really my guy. I can say 100% she wasn't a good candidate. But I feel like common sense lost. I feel like, you know, America lost that election. You have a man who wants to, his entire platform has been regressive, to say the least. And you know, it's kind of sad. It's you know, the American I grew up in was a place to be proud of. Was a place that, yeah, we had our issues, we had our problems, but we were always working on them. And this just feels like utter denial. To the point to where the guy he's appointing the head of the EPA is a global warming denialist, which we, you know, like, I don't understand how you can be I don't understand that mindset at all. You have to be a conspiracy nut to not believe in a global warming. And I'm not, you know, there's nothing wrong with, I enjoy a good conspiracy theory. I don't believe in any of them because I don't believe anyone's smart enough to pull off the manipulation that a conspiracy theory would entail. I don't believe in any of them for that reason. Because it you know, that's just my personal belief. I don't believe anyone is smart enough to create a conspiracy theory. I don't believe anyone is capable of pulling that off. I could be wrong. I could be very ignorant. There's definitely arguments to be made on that side, but to deny global warming means you have to disbelieve 90% of the current scientific community. That means disagreeing or Neil deGrasse Tyson. It means looking the other way at, just basic evidence. We can see the polar ice caps are shrinking. Yes, an argument can be made that this is just natural, but no, it's not. So I'm worried. I'm really scared as an American. I got into a really good conversation with a Trump supporter, a friend of mine, yesterday, and I told him very just straightforward that I'm terrified. The only reason why I have health care is the Affordable Health Care Act. And Trump has ran on a platform of, we're going to repeal that. He said, yes, we're going to replace it with something better. It's going to be great. But when we're talking about my livelihood, not my livelihood, but when talking about my health, I need something more than it's going to be great. My wife is asthmatic. Am I going to be able to afford her inhalers? These are the things that keep me up late at night. These are the things that terrify me. So yeah, as a cartoonist, I'm terrified. I'm terrified at the state of America right now. And that's just on a personal level, not talking about the assaults and the emboldenedness of racism. There is a contingency of Trump supporters who are very regressive in their mindset, and that is putting it as politely as I possibly can. I'm trying not to offend anyone, but we have a candidate who is endorsed publicly by the KKK. Very early on in my life, I was fortunate enough to, understand that mindset is just stupid. If you're a KKK member and offended by that comment, I just don't care. There was a very famous radio show performed years ago on the Superman radio show. I don't remember what it was called, The Adventures of Superman, but it was the radio drama. You can find it on iTunes for free. It is Superman goes up against the KKK. They did it twice, actually. He goes up against the Knights of the White something or other, White Croatian or White Flower. I can't remember. And they did it another one, and I wish they would revisit that storyline in modern comics. I would love to see an issue of Superman versus the KKK. In fact, when that broadcast aired, the KKK's enrollment numbers dropped. It's one of my favorite stories because it's one of these situations where Superman, a fictional character, had a very real world effect. Um, you know, and I love that. I love when comic books do affect the real world when they're, because it's fiction. It's a lot of nonsense. It's a lot of fun nonsense. Um, but I love it when things get, like, you know, gun laws were passed because of a Batman comic book. I forget, Seduction of the Gun. That's the comic. I have a copy of it. It's actually really good. But handgun laws were passed because of the comic book. They gave an issue to like all the senators at a hearing, and yeah, like I love it when that kind of stuff impacts reality, when comic books become real, and so, you know, in a real weird way. So yeah, I just, you know, if Superman can go up against the KKK and tell them, you know, you're ignorant and stupid, and Clark Kent has this incredible speech at the end. In fact, it starts off with a speech by a man about how regressive and stupid their thought processes are. If Superman can stand up against the KKK, how come our president-elect can't? And these are things that you know, quite frankly, keep me up over the last couple of days. You know, I might just be droning on and on, but this is kind of where my head is right now. As an American, I'm scared. Give me a second. I gotta create some new layers. I'm not the best with the computers. I do a lot. I prefer. I prefer to work with actual pen, brush, paint, paper. Because I'm an old, cranky old man. But trying to find an airbrush tool. I think there's one in here somewhere. Now I'm playing around with color. Oh, okay. Alright, I was seeing the stars and it threw me off. Alright, sorry about that. Again, I'm not the best with the Manga Studio. I don't use it enough. I got the program honestly for lettering comic books. You know, that's mostly what I use Manga Studio for, is my lettering So again, these are mostly stuff I don't normally play around with. There we go. This is mostly a sketch, so. But yeah, I just, as a, you know, I don't know how to put my feelings in order with when thinking about Trump. Like I said, I'm terrified. I'd like to honestly leave the country, but financially that's not an option. You know, not at least for a while now. And I don't know. I think America is at a turning point. I understand that a lot of the rural South feels ignored, and that's where this anger is coming from. But you know, they kept telling us not to do a protest vote, not to, you know, not to vote for Gary Johnson, not to vote for Jill Stein. But it just seems like it didn't matter because the rest of the country had a protest vote. The rest of the country, you know, voted for a man who, it's. I have serious problems, mostly because of Trump's rape case. I can't get that out of my head. The idea that we might have just elected a child rapist to the highest office. And if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, in 1994, Trump, and I wish I could remember the details, so forgive me, but Trump's friend, who is a convicted child rapist, he is currently in prison, was throwing a party, and this woman alleges that Trump raped her at this party in 1994. And yeah, you might be, your first thought was, well, it was in 1994, why is it just coming out now? It takes a long time for people to realize and cope with that level of tragedy. So that's just victim blaming, if it is true. I'm giving him all the benefits of the doubt, but there's multiple witnesses. A judge basically saw a judge deemed that the trial should go forward, and you know, I believe it's been dropped because it's a civil case. We're past the statute of limitations. Why there's a statute of limitations on rape, especially of minors, I'm not entirely sure. It's something that I think we as a culture should probably address sometime soon, especially in light of the Cosby case. But that's just my own personal opinion. You know, if this has been more politics than what you were expecting on Veterans Day from me sketching, I apologize, but I just got to get this out of my head. You know, I can't reconcile the idea that we may have elected a child rapist as the president of the United States. Said a judge weighed the evidence and said, yeah, this is valid. So I don't know. These are the thoughts that keep me up over the last couple of days. You know, as an American, I'm legitimately terrified of where our country is and where things are going. Yeah, I was gonna say, back to Uncle Sam here. If you've never read any of Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters, DC just did a part of their Convergence event. They brought him back. They brought Uncle Sam out of retirement. Of course they did, because that's what you do with Uncle Sam. And I always loved the idea of the character. Execution-wise, they could do more with him. You know, at the time he was definitely in the vein of like a Captain America, Patriot hero, but I said a little different. He was, you know, DC always kind of plays with high concept. Like I always, this is why I love DC. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's all about Marvel, Marvel, Marvel. I'm a DC fanboy because DC's always been high concept for me. Uncle Sam, he is the spirit of America and American ingenuity and American freedom, and you know, in the Convergence storyline, he was stuck on a parallel Earth where I believe it was World War II, where, you know, they were stuck in a universe where Hitler had won. And so as the story was going on, he was getting weaker and weaker because of just the lack of an American spirit and American patriotism. You know, and they've done. He appeared in an episode of Batman Brave and the Bold with Plastic Man. They've teamed up several times. I could be wrong. Forgive me, comic book historians, but I believe they were originally from the same company, because I don't think they were Charlton. I don't remember. The way DC sometimes builds up characters is different than Marvel. DC on more than one occasion will just outright buy comic book companies that are doing less than stellar, or they think they can use the IP, or in some cases they even license. They pay for the licensing of characters. Some people don't know this, but Wonder Woman, they're still paying the creator's estate for the rights to use Wonder Woman. Because of weird legal mumbo jumbo. And so, like, you get, but anyway, because they buy some characters, you get some interesting characters. This is where Captain Marvel was originally I forget. He came out of a different company. Man, I'm so bad. But he started off in a different company, and then years later, DC just, licenses him through, I forget the company. It starts with a W. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, Fawcett Comics. But yeah, like, I'm pretty sure Plastic Man and the Freedom Fighters and Uncle Sam here were acquired in that kind of same way. He's just a fun character. Like I said, Alex Ross has treated him very seriously in the past. There's some great Uncle Sam storylines out there. Yeah, this Veterans Day, maybe you want to pick up an Uncle Sam comic book. It's good stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been me just kind of, I think that's what I'm going to do, maybe once a week. Do a sketch, do something like this with the Wacom and the computer, and just kind of treat this like my own personal podcast and just talk about what's going on in my head. I said, I'm afraid for our country right now, and some of you might be listening to that thing that, well, that's an overreaction, and I just, if you look at history, Trump is, his playbook is very similar to somebody like Mussolini's or Adolf Hitler. He doesn't inspire, he intimidates. And that's not a quality I want in an American president. And I don't think that is what America should be. We'll see what happens. I just read an article this morning. Maryland is after this election is putting in new laws they can't get rid of the Electoral College, but they're saying their electoral votes from now on will go to the popular vote. Because twice in my lifetime, Hillary Clinton and Al Gore, twice in my lifetime, somebody has won the popular vote for the presidency and lost the election. And so if it takes a Trump getting in office to eliminate the Electoral College or to start rewriting laws that were written in the 1776, I think at least some good can come of this. And maybe if we're lucky, we'll survive his 4-year reign. I don't see him getting reelected. Honestly, I don't even see him lasting 4 years. I think he'll get impeached in his 3rd year. But we'll see what happens. Alright. Happy Veterans Day, and have a good one.